A very pleasant, good day, and welcome everyone. Hope everybody's doing great. We just finished a sensational weekend of college hockey that set the stage for the culmination of this 21-22 NCAA Division I men's ice hockey season. Ahead, April 7th and 9th, the four teams are set for the 74th edition of the men's Frozen Four. And today we'll have a chance to hear from the four head coaches whose teams have advanced to the top event in men's college hockey each year. I'm Dave Fischer from USA Hockey Headquarters. It's my great pleasure to take us through today. I also look forward to seeing everyone in person in Boston. A special and warm welcome to Phil Pierce, the new media coordinator for this championship from the NCAA headquarters in Indianapolis. Phil, welcome to the hockey family. We're glad to have you. And also a shout out and thanks to Mark Beddix, who held Phil's position for the 20 previous years. Also, thanks to Brian Smith, the Associate Commissioner of the Hockey East, who has been busy preparing the way for the Frozen Four in Boston, all the preparations to make sure all of you have everything you need. It was a terrific, we've got a terrific field set, as you know, three long storied programs. Of course, the University of Minnesota, University of Michigan began their varsity programs in the early 1920s, Denver in the 49-50 season, and between those three teams, 22 national championships in hand. All have won a national title in Boston, of course. And then we've got the proverbial new kid on the block in Minnesota State, started their program in 69-70, went to Division I status in 96-97. And they enter the field with 37 wins. That is the most of any team and the third most of any team entering the Frozen Four in history. Maine leads the way with 40 wins, entering the Frozen Four in 93. Of course, they went on to win the national title. North Dakota had 38 wins, entering the Frozen Four in 87. And Detroit, they went on to win the national title. So perhaps good news for Coach Mike Hastings and company. And that's who we start with today. The head coach of the Minnesota State Mavericks. They won the Albany Regional, but they 1-0 win over Notre Dame. Of course, as you know, and Coach Hastings has built a national powerhouse in his 10 years as head coach there. They've won 5 straight McNaughton Cup titles, which is remarkable. They entered the NCAA tournament with a record 17-game winning streak. Of course, we've never had a team entering the Frozen Four on that kind of streak before as well. And they will face off in the second national semifinal on April the 7th at 8:30 Eastern against the University of Minnesota. Coach Hastings, congratulations. And as we begin, maybe if you can reflect back on the 2 games in Albany and give us a peek ahead to the national semifinal.
Yeah, thanks, David. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Michigan, Denver, and Minnesota to getting to the Frozen Four. And going back to the 2 games that we had, as you saw, the competition to get to Boston was something special, I think, through all regions. And for us, I thought we got off to a really good start against Harvard. And then you knew with the roster that they have and the coaching staff that they have that they would make a push. They did. We were able to hold on and win a very tight game and then move on and play a very quality, well-coached Notre Dame team and found a way to get the first one and made that stand up. Dryden McKay did what he does in regional finals for us over the last 2 years to give us the opportunity to get to a Frozen Four in back-to-back seasons. So we're looking forward to the opportunity in Boston and what's in front of us.
All right, thanks much, Hasty. We'll take your question using the raise hand function as per usual. If you'd identify yourself and affiliation, that would be appreciated. I will try and not butcher any names I don't know, my best, but feel free to correct the record, of course. And Gary, we'll start with you. Welcome, and please go ahead.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Mike. Gary Santaniello, New York Times. Hey, congratulations on another great year. And this is a two-parter. How does a school like Minnesota State compete against schools that, naturally have an advantage in attracting the draft picks and the top talent? And also, what are the advantages of having a roster like yours that's typically has a lot of experience to it?
Well, first of all, I think one thing that's great about college hockey and our sport is you can you can find a way to be successful many different ways. You'll see over time a number one team be beat by somebody that might be 30 or below in the pairwise. I think the parity in college hockey from top to bottom shows every single season. And this season has been no different. And so, we just have to do it a little bit different way. And, we do it as well chronicled that we recruit a little bit older player. We're still trying to, mix in some of the young talent that is out there. But at the end of the day, we come in with a little bit heavier roster as far as the experience is concerned. And, for us, it's something that I think we hold and trying to develop our players that come in maybe at a little bit older start. But we also know that some of those players, if they continue to develop, are going to leave the program earlier than maybe their 4 years. And so we're going to rely upon what we've relied upon all season long, which is a leadership group that has been around the block. They've been here. We've got 2 super seniors in Jack McNeely and Reggie Lutz, and then a group of seniors, which we've talked about with Dryden McKay, an NHL draft pick, in Nathan Smith. And we're going to let them do what they've done. Which is lead us, on the ice, off the ice, and everywhere in between. So we're going to stick with what's got us here and try and utilize our depth throughout the game on Thursday and try and move on to a national championship game.
All right, Gary, thanks much. And gang, probably best if we can just keep it to one question. And if we have time, we just have 15 minutes with each coach today, we can follow up, but appreciate that. Jess, next to you. Welcome.
Jess Myers from the Rink Live. Mike, the off day in the regionals was a new thing this year. I'm wondering how your team spent that day, and what did you think of having the extra 24 hours?
I liked it, but not just because we moved on, but we've seen how sometimes the regionals before can get extended, especially if there's overtime games. Ours was a little unique because we played a noon game. And I don't know about Harvard, but I know we hadn't done that before. And so we had a little bit of extra time after the game to recover. The guys got a good night's sleep. So we were able to have a really good practice on that off day. And I thought that prepared us mentally and physically for the game on Saturday.
Thanks much, Jess. John.Powers, welcome. How are you?
Hi, Dave. How are you? It's winter up here in Boston, so you'll be familiar. Just a question. You look, for years and years, you had 2 Minnesota teams in D1, DU and UMD. Now you've got half a dozen. How has that changed the balance of power? You had 3 Minnesota schools in the Frozen Four last year. Now you've got a whole lot of people that seem to be very competitive.
Yeah, the recruiting landscape is changing. It seems daily, but for us and our footprint, I was fortunate to play for a guy named Herb Brooks that his dream was to have as many Division I opportunities for players within our border. And when he started St. Cloud State and continued to push the idea of having as many Minnesota opportunities for homegrown talent, and now you've got that. And so I just think right now with recruiting, with the transfer portal, with the teams we have in our state, with the teams that are out there that are recruiting within our state, we've just got to continue to look at our backyard first, but also understand that we've got to look not only around the United States and Canada, but globally to try and recruit student athletes that can help us become successful.
Thanks, John. Great question. Randy Johnson is next. Randy, welcome. Glad to have you.
Hi, Dave. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Congratulations on another Frozen Four. What do you take from last year's experience that you feel will be helpful this year?
Well, I can already tell you, Randy, from my standpoint and meeting with our leadership group, there's a little bit different vibe just because they have had an experience of being at a Frozen Four. Now, it was a little bit different in Pittsburgh because we were doing that in COVID. And the stresses that were on the student athletes were daily. And can we just get to puck drop? Knock on wood, this is something that we hope we don't have to deal with between now and when the puck drops, and we can focus on preparation and just have an opportunity to enjoy it a little bit more, just from the standpoint of what's going on around it. Friends, family, people from our community coming out and supporting us, alumni. I just think there's a little bit different vibe that way. But I can tell you, our guys are focused on trying to get through that game on Thursday. It's not something where they're as bright-eyed as maybe they were a year ago. And I think experience can teach you something that is hard to get. So we're hoping to lean on that experience throughout this tournament.
All right, thanks much, Randy. Scott, how are you? Welcome. You're next. Please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you and I go back about 30 years to Crookston, Minnesota. So I want to go back to those days if you can and tell us how you built your coaching experience to get you to where you are right now.
Well, I'm just fortunate to be around a lot of really good hockey people. Mike Genzo gave me my first opportunity in Omaha in the USHL after Craig Dahl allowed a player that was done playing the game to keep his scholarship at St. Cloud State and start in the coaching world. And then, I've worked with some incredible people, some of the all-time greats, like I said, playing for Herb. At that time, Bobby Motzko was on the staff at St. Cloud State. Working with Don Lucia, working with Dean Blaze. It's one that I'm incredibly proud of and blessed to be able to learn from people like that. And then right now to be surrounded by two fantastic individuals in Todd Connaught and Paul Kirtland on my own staff. So I think it's great to see a guy from Northern Minnesota have an all Northern Minnesota staff here for 9 years and now take a little bit change with Paul, and he's made us better. So it's been a great journey and one that I'm very fortunate to be a part of and have the people that I have in my life as far as experiences, and going to try to continue to move on.
All right, we have probably time for one more if anybody has it with Coach Hastings. Mike, maybe, here we go. All right, Jess, let's see, back to you.
Mike, I was going to ask you, you talk about your roots in Northern Minnesota. Mankato hosted Hockey Day this year. You're in the Frozen Four. You've got a coach from Austin who's taking a team to the Frozen Four. You've got a coach from Rochester who took a team to the regional final. The old joke about there's not much hockey south of Bloomington doesn't seem to hold very much. Just what's the kind of excitement in your region now?
Well, it's changed, Jess. I appreciate you asking. I thought the local organizing committee here for Hockey Day in Minnesota knocked it out of the park. And to have roughly 10,000 people at a 6,500 seat football stadium come and enjoy and see what it is to now understand that hockey in Southern Minnesota throughout our borders now, not just the Iron Range, but down here in Mankato, the saying was, this is how we hockey. And there's just a lot of quality people and a lot of quality hockey people within this state. We're proud to be a part of it. And I think it just continues to grow the game, which we're all about.
Awesome. Great question, Jess. Thanks. And Mike, maybe you could reflect a little bit on the first year of a new conference too in the CCHA.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. One thing that I think special there is I don't think any organization team goes anywhere without great leadership. And Don Lucia has done a fabulous job of coming in and having an experience of being in the seat that every one of us coaches have been in, whether it's at a Big Ten school, whether it was at Fairbanks, whether it was at Colorado College. And his guidance has helped us grow in a hurry. And what the CCHA stands for right now, seeing Michigan Tech get to the NCAA tournament and battle the way they did against Duluth, and to go through the battle that we went through with Bemidji State, which a lot of people talked about as far as winning that championship and being a part of that. We're very proud to be a part of the CCHA, and I think it's in great hands moving forward. And we're excited about not only where we're at, but where we're going to end up.
All right, very good. Coach, thanks for the time today. Best of luck. We look forward to seeing you in Boston. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, that's Mike Hastings, the head coach of the Mavericks. Next, we move over to the Allentown region, where the University of Michigan in a fun tilt beat Quinnipiac 7-4 in the regional final. Wolverines making their 26th Frozen Four appearance. Of course, they've won more NCAA titles than any other school, including in Boston in 1998. We welcome in now the head coach of the University of Michigan, Mel Pearson. Mel, of course, no stranger to the Frozen Four. Second time he's been there as head coach of Michigan, 10 other times as assistant or associate head coach at the University of Michigan in a previous role. And Mel, congratulations, first of all, and maybe just reflect back on the two games you played in the regional, and then a look ahead to your national semifinal game against Denver. That'll be a 5 o'clock start on April 7th.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. It's good to see you, and thanks for having me, and good to be on. Obviously, we had to earn our victories in Allentown. I thought AIC was a very formidable team, really good team, actually. We got off to a good start in that game, and they came back. They pushed us right to the end, and we held on to win. Obviously, Quinnipiac, without a doubt, is as good as advertised and as good as our record was. And we were fortunate to get off to another really good start. I think that was the key in both games is getting off to a good start. And as you all saw, we held on. Quinnipiac pushed hard. We totally got away from our game and found a way to hang in there and win that game and get to Boston. So we're excited to get to Boston. Obviously, there's been a lot said and written about our team this year with the players we have. And you just have to earn your way there. It doesn't matter how many draft picks you have or what type of team you have. You just got to find a way to get it done. And I think this year, more than any other year, it's wide open as far as the team goes. I thought there were at least 20 plus teams that could have made it to Boston. That's how tight things were. So we're excited to have the opportunity to play Denver. We haven't played Denver for a while. Obviously, I really am impressed with their team. Co-champions of the NCHC. They got a nice blend of skill, older guys, younger guys. They know what it takes to win. They've done a lot of winning under David Carl there. He's done a fabulous job, him and staff. So we're just looking forward to the opportunity to play on Thursday against Denver.
All right, thanks, Mel. Again, we'll use the raise hand function, and if you could indulge us, please, in introducing yourself and your affiliation, that would be appreciated. And Gary, we'll start with you. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mel. Gary Santaniello, New York Times. Hey, Mel, the curse of having a lot of talent is you may not know how long you're going to have it. How do you balance your roster construction so you have, sustained success year after year after year with, what tends to be a lot of roster turnover?
Yeah, thanks, Gary. I think that's one of the hardest things is this day and age is roster management. Not only our team, but a lot of teams. You look at the number of NCAA players that have signed contracts and are leaving early in the last 2 weeks even. So that's part of the issue you have. I think the biggest thing is you have to have a real good open line of communication with your players, your student athletes, and what their intentions are, and also with the NHL teams and what they're thinking, and just understanding when players might leave. And that's critical because, we like this year, we're not sure exactly who's leaving. We've got a really good idea, and we just have to make the most of it when those players are here. We weren't sure we'd have Owen Power back this year. We weren't sure we'd have Matty Beniers back, a couple other guys, but, they decided to return to Michigan and have the experience that they didn't have last year with COVID and, just not playing in front of fans, not having the opportunity for us to play in the NCAA tournament. So, but that's a real good question. And that's an ongoing concern going forward with your roster management.
All right, Gary, thanks much. Scott, please go ahead.
Scott McLaughlin with WEI in Boston. Mel, I wanted to ask you about Johnny Beecher. Those of us out here in Boston, maybe we just see the stats, but what does he bring to your team, and what have you seen from him development-wise this season?
Yeah, he's been a real key for us here as of late. Unfortunately, Johnny's had injury problems last year and his shoulder, and then this year he's all set to have a great year and breaks his thumb, and sat out for quite a while again. So we really didn't get him to the second half of the year, and that's when we made our push. And a lot of reason is Johnny is anchored a line. He's used to speed. The numbers aren't maybe as high as you'd like them to be, but he's not playing on one of our power play units right now. So, guys get a lot of points on the power play. So wouldn't be overly concerned with the stats. It's what he brings to our team, and what he brings is speed, physicality. He's got good size, great on faceoffs. He's more taken a defensive role on the penalty kill and done a great job there. But he's really given us another line that is dangerous and added to our depth. His development's been good. You know, he's continued to grow not only as a player on the ice, but off the ice, and matured. And you can see that now. Maybe last year I might have to calm him down on the bench a little bit. And the other day I found him calming our coaches down on the bench. So it's been a reversal. He's really grown in so many different areas. And he's still young. He's still young. He's got a lot of good hockey in front of him.
All right, thanks, Scott. Andrew, you're up. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mel. Andrew Kahn, MLive, filling in for my pal Ryan Zook, who's traveling today. So I'm not trying to be like a snitch or anything, but after your win the other night on ESPN, one of the studio analysts said Michigan would try to end its curse, because the program hasn't won a national championship since '98. I know you haven't been at Michigan for every one of those seasons since, but is that a fair assessment? Do you feel there's been bad luck involved? You guys have gotten this far, or is it just hard to kind of close the deal?
Yeah, well, that's the first time I've heard anything about any curse, but there's no curse on our program. It's hard to win. It's become very difficult. If you look at the games this past weekend in the regional, the overtime games, the 1-goal games, Ohio State didn't make it in the NCAA tournament. They were a heck of a hockey team in our league. You could go around, even in Hockey East, whether it's Boston College or Boston University, who had good teams, Clarkson. It's difficult. You need to be good. You have to have good players. You need good coaches, good staff, and you have to be lucky. And even when you play some of your best games, you're not always going to win. A goalie can make a difference in a game, whatnot. So many factors that go into it. So we haven't even thought about the past. All we can do is we can't change the past, but we have something to say about the future and to rewrite, or write the future. And then we have that opportunity this weekend. So what's happened. We can't control that, but we have a say in what's going to go forward and what's going to happen in the next coming the week.
All right, Mike, next to you. Please go ahead. Welcome.
Thanks, Fish. Mike Moriel, NHL.com. Good morning, Mel.
Hi, Mike.
Coach, what have been the biggest improvements you have witnessed in Luke Hughes from day one till now?
Just as decision making. Luke, great offensive player, but he's become more responsible with making better decisions, because when he gets the puck, he's so confident. You think he can go end to end, and you've seen some of the things he does on the offensive blue line in the offensive zone. He's so confident in his ability, and he's had to learn at times, manage the game. What's the situation? What's the score? Where are we at? Do we need offense? Can I just lay the puck in and live to see another day? And I think that's been one of the areas he's really grown, is just his management of the game and understanding that. He's plus I think 28, plus 28. A lot of people didn't think he could defend, or his defense wasn't this or that, but he's become much, much better in his defending, become much more physical. He's the third youngest player in college hockey this year. And, as he grows and he gets matured, he's even going to get better. I think the sky's the limit for him. When Owen Power went to the Olympics, Luke really stepped up his game. And obviously to score 17 goals as a freshman, just any freshman is phenomenal. But for a defenseman to put up numbers like that is just great. So just his all-around game, but more just as his approach and being responsible, I think, are the areas where I've really seen him grow.
All right, thanks, Mike. Scotty, you're up next. Please go ahead. Welcome.
Hey, Mal. Scott Wheeler from The Athletic here. Different Devils prospect I'm curious about. Ethan Edwards, kind of around that same time at the Olympic break, has really appeared to take strides. I know he was kind of a rotation early on in the season for you guys. How has he become an important piece of this puzzle?
Yeah, good observation, Scott. He was in and out of the lineup early. He had to find his game. I think he was pushing for offense too much. I think too many players, when they come to this level, the freshmen, how do you evaluate yourself? a lot of what we find is your numbers. Am I putting up the numbers? And it's tough. But when he came back for Christmas, we saw a difference. He came in and just started to play solid defensively. And then you're right. We had some guys out of the lineup, and some, obviously the Olympics. And his game grew. He got confidence, and you can't. I always say this: you can't go down to 7-Eleven and say, "Hey, I want $10 worth of confidence." You have to earn it. And Ethan, once the defensive game started to come around, then he got that confidence, and he was playing well. And then the offensive came a little bit after that. But he's turned into a real force for us, a real good player. He's probably our most physical defenseman. He skates well. He's got offensive creativity, which you saw in Allentown. He scored a big goal, a nice goal, had some patience and poise jumping in from the blue line. So we think the sky's the limit for him. We think he's going to be, when it's all said and done, a very, very good player.
All right, Jess, you're next.
Jess Myers from the Rink Live. Hi, Mel. Congratulations on getting to Boston.
Thanks,
I wanted to ask about the off day in the regional. What'd you think of it? How did your team spend the off day? And do you think it affected maybe the amount of fans that traveled at all to support your team?
Yeah, I really don't know about the fans. That's a good point. As far as we're concerned, I'm still not sure. And we won, you're so used to playing back to back. And I know there's situations where, overtime comes into play and whatnot in a late game and having to come back. I'm not sure. I didn't mind it, but it did seem like we were there for a long time. You fly in Tuesday and we end up getting home, late Sunday night. So it just seemed like a long trip for us. But Dave and Buster's, I'm not trying to put a plug in, but Dave and Buster's, there wasn't as much as we thought in Allentown. The weather wasn't great to get outside. All the bowling alleys were full. The leagues were all fired up, I guess, on Saturday. So Dave and Buster's, the guys took over Dave and Buster's. We practiced that day. We had a light skate, got some rest, some downtime, but I think the guys had a good time at, again, Dave and Buster's.
All right, thanks, Jess. Paul, please go ahead.
Hey, Mel, Paul Nasser from the Michigan Daily. Against Quinnipiac, you guys are facing the statistically the best defense in the country, and you're able to score 4 goals in those 2 periods. So what are you liking from your offense right now heading into this matchup with Denver?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. We got guys that can score. We don't, I don't think we created as many grade A's as we normally do on average, even though we had some breakaways and some outnumbered rushes, but we have guys that can finish. And that's something that's really hard to teach. You can work on things, you can change the angle, there's different things you can do to try to make people scores, but we have natural goal scorers. Things that we can't teach them, and they're good. We get opportunities, we got poise, patience, we got guys who know where to shoot the puck on goalies, and they bear down. And now we're getting some offense from some other guys too. So yeah, and Quinnipiac you look at the numbers and they're scary. You wonder how you're going to score. But again, like I said, we have guys who get to the net, know how to put it in the net. And that's really important this time of year.
Apologies, we're going to take one more. We just have 15 minutes with everybody today. I know we're not going to get to everybody. Andrew, you'll be our last question for Coach Pearson. Please go ahead.
Great, thanks. Andrew Mahoney with the Boston Globe. Mel, I just wanted to ask you, if you could remember back to just your reaction when Matty Beniers became available, when he, decommitted from Harvard, just how fast you guys had to move, and then how, just what he's been like for you for these past 2 years.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. He makes our team better the moment he walks in the door every day, and I've said that many times. Just his personality, positivity, the energy that he brings, fabulous young man. I knew Matty because obviously we take a few players from the program over here. And I remember always going to the games and going, gee, he's good. He's really good. It's too bad he's going to Harvard. And then unfortunately, with COVID and what happened in the Ivy. So we were very lucky. One of our assistant coaches, Chris Mayotte, had a relationship with Matty and his family from when he was out east of Providence. So we were very fortunate to have a little bit of an in there. Matty wanted a good school. Obviously, Harvard's Harvard, but Michigan's not too far behind. So when they started looking at schools, Obviously, Michigan had what he wanted in a school, not only athletically as a hockey program, but obviously academically. But he's been fabulous. He's got a bright future. I think he's, obviously I got Luke Hughes up for the Hobie, but I'm going to put a plug in here for Maddie Beniers for the Hobie Baker. I know the voting's already been done, but he's played at the national world championships. He played at the world championships, won a medal. He's played at the world juniors, won a gold medal. He's played at the Olympics. And hey, he plays at Michigan. So we're very fortunate to have a player of Maddie's caliber and character. And, he's been a real solid player for us and one of our most valuable players.
All right, Mel, thanks very much. Appreciate your time today. We look forward to seeing you in Boston. Safe travels and best of luck.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
All right, that's Mel Pearson, head coach of the Wolverines. We're going to move over to the Loveland Regional, where the University of Denver was a 2-1 winner over Minnesota Duluth in a really fun environment, jam-packed capacity crowd, and of course, the Pioneers with their home fans. A lot of fun. Their head coach joins us now, David Carl, of course, the University of Denver, second all-time in national titles with 8. David's been involved in one of them as an assistant coach and leads the Pioneers to the Frozen Four. And David, a couple of battles in Loveland. Maybe take us back to the regional in those 2 games, and then a peek ahead to your national semifinal game.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. You 2 really good hockey games. Great teams and great programs in Lowell and Duluth, obviously, and very proud of our team and the efforts. Neither game were easy. Both tied going into the 3rd period. We stuck with our game plan and found a way to execute and to get 2 hard-fought 1-goal games. So proud of the group. Excited to be heading to Boston with obviously a very high-end group of 4 teams duking it out in the Frozen Four.
All right. We'll again ask you to please identify yourself, affiliation, as per usual. And Gary, we'll start with you.
Hi, David. Gary Santaniello, New York Times. Last season was problematic for a lot of teams, and it was a down year for DU. What has been the difference this year?
I think a huge part of it was just emerging from the COVID world. We were under very tight restrictions, and it was a challenging environment to be able to build a team environment. And obviously playing just in our league is not an easy thing to do either. We played, I think, 24 games, 7 of which were against North Dakota, who is had a great team last year. And, we did not get accomplished. So at the end of the day, what we wanted to, and that's, I give our guys credit. We quickly turned the page from that year into the spring quarter last year in the summer session. Got a lot of people back here in Denver training, skating. Our incoming class was able to come out here and operate in a normal summer. And we had a full training camp with our team. And I think it just, when you're able to build a foundation, you got a lot stronger house. And I think that's been the biggest difference for us is we've actually been able to build that foundation this year, and it's led to the successes that this team's been able to have.
All right, thanks, Gary. Connor, you're up. Please go ahead.
Hello, Connor Earegoo from the Michigan Daily. Michigan's 4th line has been pretty locked down against some other teams' top scorers. How does your team's depth give you an advantage heading into this regional, or into the Frozen Four, rather?
Yeah, I think both teams have a lot of weapons. Obviously, them with 7 first-rounders. You hear Mel talk about, the guys, they know how to score, and we have similar players that have had offensive success this year. So I think it's going to be a really exciting matchup for the fans and for college hockey. There's a lot of talent and creativity and hockey sense on the ice come Thursday of next week.
All right, let's see. Okay. Matthew, let's see. Evan, you're next. Please go ahead.
Evan Marinofsky, NCAA.com. With a guy like Bobby Brink, how have you seen his game sort of evolve this season and his times leading up to this season?
Yeah, Bob's been an elite level hockey player, for most of his life. Won a state championship at Minnetonka High School. Fast tracked that. He came to the USHL, was supposed to play there for 2 years, won USHL Forward of the Year, accelerated his schooling and came to us a year early. And I think people sometimes forget that about Bob, is that he did come his freshman year. He should have been a senior in high school. And I think what we've seen in his 3 years is just a natural maturation of his body and how he conducts himself and carries himself. And it's, kind of all coming together for him here in his junior year, where he can protect more pucks, he can create more separation. His body can do things, or allow him to do things at this level that his brain and his skill set have wanted to do. And that's not to say he didn't have a very productive and solid freshman year. The sophomore year was very disjointed due to COVID and World Juniors. But I think now in his junior year, it's really all coming together for him. And there's no doubt he's an elite level player at the level and one of our best players.
All right, Jess.
Jess Myers from the Rink Live. David, if I did the math correctly, you were 14 in the spring of 2004 when your brother was a freshman at Denver and went to Boston and won a national championship there. I'm just wondering what you remember from that and what this means to you to kind of come full circle, bringing a team back to Boston to compete for that same title.
Yeah, I mean, that championship was a lot for our program and our university. Obviously, George and his staff had been building the program, in a real good way, and they had some runs. And in 03-04, it was, what I remember about it is, the team really did struggle for the first half of the year. They didn't have a home regulation conference win until February of that year. And then they just went on a run after they tied North Dakota at North Dakota late in January, and they kind of went on a run after that. And then they got put in the Springs in the regional there and shut out North Dakota. Adam Burkle played great. That North Dakota team was just loaded with NHL players. And I remember as a 13, 14-year-old that I was very disappointed because my parents did not bring me to Boston to watch the game. So I was watching at home with family and friends. And just like all of it, I mean, the comeback against Duluth in the third period was very exciting. And then who can forget the 6-on-3 and the 1-0 win, the disallowed goal, the Gabe Gauthier 5-hole goal, and then capping it with the 6-on-3 against Maine. So a lot of drama and one of the more chaotic moments in probably our school's history, but an unbelievable year. And I think a championship that put Denver back on the map, in the modern college hockey landscape.
Thanks, Jess. Great question. Coach, great recollection there too. It was a while ago. All right, over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Fish. Mike Morey, LNHL.com. Good to see you, David. So has freshman Jack Devine been a surprise at all this year, David? And what has he been able to contribute when in the lineup?
A surprise in what way?
Surprise in just, what he's been able to bring to the team as a freshman, as a first-year player.
Gotcha. No, I don't think so. I mean, we had real good conversation with him and his family coming in. He's a player who accelerated to come to us again a year early out of the national team development program. And we love Jack's hockey sense and skill level. And we thought that this would be a great team for him to grow with, and he's really improved throughout the year to where now he's a contributor, and but he's not maybe one of the guys that has a spotlight on him, but certainly he's ready to take the reins of that come his sophomore and junior years here. So it's been a great year of development for him. He's a player that wants to learn, wants to get better, and we've been really happy with him, and not surprised, I should say. It's kind of gone exactly how we thought it would with him.
All right, thanks, Mike. Both of our semifinal matchups, by the way, are brand new in the Frozen Four. Haven't had them before. We look forward to that. And Scott, you're up next. Please go ahead.
Scott Strande with College Hockey Southwest Live. Coach, you said last weekend that Lowell and Duluth were kind of similar in the way you prepared. Michigan, a completely different animal. Is it going to take a lot of changes in your preparation to get ready for next Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, Michigan is, they're dynamic. You don't have to look very far and to find really good hockey players in their lineup. So yeah, very different style and teams than what we played last weekend. And that'll be our job as coaches, our leadership group, and our players to get prepared for what will be a different game stylistically. But Michigan's loaded. Obviously, everyone's known that for the past 8 to 12 months, and it'll be a great challenge to try and slow them down.
All right, Scott, you're up next. Please go ahead.
Hey, Dave. Scott Wheeler from The Athletic. Hope you're doing well here. Shai, just where has he seen the biggest growth in his development this season? And where does that maybe align or not align with what your expectations were for him coming in as a freshman?
Yeah, great question. I mean, Shai is one of our young players who has played a lot and done well with it. And, I just think by this time of the year, he's really no longer a freshman. I think his defensive play has been what we've been pushing on him the most, taking away time and space, trying to get in people's way, and getting physical in corners and around his net, and using his body and his size, to help the team in that regard. And he's working on that, and he's continuing to get better at it. And there's a reason he's able to play for us at a high level like he has been. And so we're real proud of the growth he's had and the growth ahead.
David, could you talk a little bit about the atmosphere in Loveland and just about the state of hockey in Colorado? Yeah, I mean, it was great for us. Again, going back to 04, it's the first time since 04 that we've played NCAA tournament hockey in the state of Colorado. And so it was great to have our fan base there. Really appreciate all the support and people driving up to Loveland. Obviously a tied in connection with Ralph Backstrom and his involvement in getting the Colorado Eagles started, and someone that we're honoring due to his passing last year on our jerseys, this year with his initials. So I think it meant the world to our fan base and the Loveland community and people that played for Ralph and in our program to be able to have the regional in Loveland. There's a lot of symmetry there, and obviously all the better that we were able to win 2 really good hockey games against 2 great programs and move on to Boston to the Frozen Four. All right. Last but not least, we'll go to Connor. Connor, over to you.
Yeah, Connor, you're good with the Michigan Daily again. Obviously, every goaltender in this Frozen Four is really skilled. What makes Magnus Corona different? I especially
sorry, go ahead.
Differently. Yeah, I guess what makes him stand out, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's 4 really good goaltenders. You don't get to this point without good goaltending. I think our guy has elevated his game in the last 4 to 5 weeks once the calendar turned into playoff hockey. And he's fighting for sight lines. He's tracking pucks well. Obviously, he's a big body. He's not the only one in the region. We're going to face one on Thursday who's another big-bodied Swede. And but I like his focus right now, and his attention to detail is as good as it's been all season. So we're really happy with his play currently. Thank you.
All right, David, very much appreciated. Thanks much. Safe travels. We look forward to seeing you in Boston.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, last, certainly not least, we'll move over to the Worcester region champion, the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers. Of course, beat Western Michigan 3-0 to advance to the Frozen Four. The Gophers are in their 22nd Frozen Four appearance. They've won 5 national titles, and Bob Motzko's done a terrific job building their program in a short period of time. In his 4th year as the head coach at Minnesota, he was in the Frozen Four as the head coach at St. Cloud, and of course, Also has some experience winning a national title as an assistant coach with Minnesota previously. I know Bob is on here. I saw him earlier, but we welcome him in from the Twin Cities. This will be our 7th time we've had an all West Frozen Four, by the way. Last time, of course, in St. Paul in 2018. Last time in the East was in '92 in Albany. Mats, congratulations. And if you'd start and just take us back to what transpired in the regional, obviously a come from behind victory in game 1, hard fought victory in game 2, and then a peek ahead to your battle against Minnesota State in the national semifinal.
Yeah, outstanding weekend for us. Scary moment in the first game with, in a 50-second span, we give up 2 goals on a delayed penalty. They score with the goalie pulled with the hand up, and then they get on the power play and score. And, that was early. That was in the first period. And you've been in this tournament so many times and you just said, oh God, it was a crushing feeling that could come back from 2 goals against a heck of a team in UMass. The good thing is we had a lot of time left on the clock and we dug in and we only gave 1 goal up the rest of the weekend. That was the good news. And we dug in that night. Great battle, huge goal at the end of the first period to get it back to 2-1. Our guys had great resolve. Power play scored both nights, which was critical for us. Good solid goaltending against 2 heavy, tough teams. So, and we're going to walk right into another one with Mankato. So exciting time for us and hard fought weekend. And we're very excited.
All right. Again, we'll use the raise hand function. Please identify yourself and affiliation. And Connor, we'll start with you.
Hey, Bob. Connor Earegoo with the Michigan Daily. Obviously, there's 2 Big Ten teams in the Frozen Four this year. The last time there were Big Ten teams was 2018 with 3. What does this do for the growth of Big Ten hockey in general?
Well, it makes a statement. I mean, I was in a league going against the Big Ten for many years, and now I've been over here for 4. And the Big Ten, takes some criticism, and I believe it's our programs are very strong. We beat the snot out of each other, a lot like the NCHC and all the leagues. But this is another step forward for us. I know 3 a few years back and 2 this year. Notre Dame had a great push as well, getting the overtime victory the other day. So it's a very solid statement for Big Ten, knowing that we're in a good spot.
All right, Gary, please go ahead.
Hi, Bob. Gary Santaniello, New York Times. You talked at the regional a lot about, the grit of your team. How is it that, with the players, the new players to the program, when they come in, how is it that you get through those expectations and carry it through a long season?
From the expectations to win, or from a grit standpoint? I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Yeah, what's required to win at this level?
Well, I mean, the big thing, I'll give you an example that, I made a statement when I got hired, we need to get older. And obviously I lied to everybody when I got hired, because we haven't gotten a lot older, but we've gotten more experience. We brought 5 freshmen in this year, and they all played 2 years in the USHL or 2 years in the US program. So we're more battle tested up front, and with the guys we've been bringing in versus the true freshmen that maybe, traditionally at Minnesota were just out of high school. And, because we can't control when our guys leave, but we do have a little control on the front end that they come in with more experience. So they are battle tested, many of our guys. And the fact that we went through the grind last year to win our playoffs, the Big Ten playoffs a year ago, and we got to a region championship last year, we drew off of that. And, it's been a couple of year process for us, developing that grit that's needed to play, and you feed off other teams in your league that have that. And then we have to play a non-conference schedule against North Dakota and Duluth and Mankato and St. Cloud, and then we'll get Bemidji eventually, because we have to play these Minnesota teams. Well, that's really the only style that these teams know, and it makes us better. So we try to play as competitive schedule as we can in the country, one of the top. We want to play these gritty teams. It makes us better, and our kids are buying into it.
All right, thanks, Gary. Evan, please go ahead.
Evan Maranofsky, NCAA.com. Bob, obviously you guys got really hot down the stretch. What changed for you guys there? Was it, the team coming together? Was it the goaltending switch? Was it something in the room? Like what kind of prompted that hot stretch that you're still on?
Well, I'm going to tell you that I don't know if it was a switch as much as we were transforming that way, and I talked about this at the region, early in the year, when you coach at Minnesota, God forbid you split a weekend, because you're not supposed to do that here. And we split 5 straight. So we were getting criticized. Why weren't we playing well? Well, the truth was, I thought we were playing well, and we had some big wins in there, and we were growing, and we were waiting for our young players to gain experience and to gain confidence. And I'm repeating myself from last week, but we had a real solid returning group, but we added 5 new forwards. Well, Nyes and Lucius took off out of the blocks as elite players. And then Huglin started to come, and then Pitlick started to come, and then Bro started to come to mesh with Myers, McLaughlin, Walker, and our decor that was all returning. It took a little time for that to come together. An example was, I think in February, our freshmen had like 16 goals. And last weekend, of our 7 goals, freshmen had 4 of them. And yet Ben Myers and McLaughlin and Walker and then Close and Net, who playing so strong for us, are the backbone. We needed that young group to materialize offensively for us. And because they're awful talented, and the second half, they've really hit their mark as a group, a few were there much earlier. So that's kind of the long and short of it. It just took us a while to come together.
All right, speaking of Gopher coaches, Randy, over Bob's shoulder, can you name the coaches left to right?
We got Glenn Sommore, we got Brad Buteau, we got Herb, we got Mariucci, we got the Wooger, and then we got Don.
Oh, excellent job, Randy. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I better know that. Randy Johnson, Minneapolis Star Tribune, obviously. Bob, you talked about the freshman, Aaron Huglin, his development in the second half this year, and then just getting him here after the injury problems he had. How difficult was that?
Well, he had a lot of injuries his 2 years in junior hockey, and he went through an enormous amount. Over a 2-year period, I think he only played maybe a year, but he came to us ready to go. I mean, he was battle tested. He was really good last year for Fargo down the stretch. And that was critical that he got to be an integral part of their playoff run last year. And he's just been steady. Like I said, like Nyes and Lucius shot out of a cannon. Like they were the elite players from the get-go. Hughie's just been the steady, just keeps getting better. Nothing phases him. We can play him at center, and then very quickly, when we got him on the wing now, but at center, he can play against other teams' top players, and he's gaining, he's going to be a terrific college player. And right now we're getting it in doses and more confidence as he goes, but it's been a remarkable recovery for him. And what's really going to be great for him is, he's had a couple off seasons where he couldn't train. This is going to be a great off season for him. He hasn't had one for a couple summers, and he's going to be a terrific player. We're just seeing the beginning stages of what he can do.
All right, Scott, you're next.
Hi, Coach. Scott Wheeler from The Athletic. You kind of touched on Nyes there and getting shot out of a cannon. But just, were you guys expecting that out of him? Were you expecting the level that he has reached this season, and where maybe has he exceeded expectations?
Well, we knew we were getting an awful special player. We knew that, and he made a big impact at the World Junior Camp this summer. And I'm not, we weren't surprised, but like quickly when we started practicing, there's something different in him. And part of it's, physical. He's just a big, strong dude that likes to use it, and a little bit of a throwback type player. And we put him on a line with Ben Myers, and this rarely happens in coaching. Like I never make the right lines up in the summer. I've yet to ever, sit there in the summer and say, these are going to be the lines, but we put him with Myers from day one. And those two are just workers. And when Lucius was on that line, I mean, it was fantastic. And then when, Chaz's injury, broke, now we've moved Huglin over there, and he's picking up the slack and doing a great job. So he's pretty fortunate. We're fortunate he's a heck of a player and strong, but he's also fortunate he gets to play with Ben Myers, and it's a pretty deadly combination, and we're fortunate.
All right, Mr. Morial, you're next. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Fish. Mike Morial, NHL.com. Morning, Bob.
Morning,
Bob,
Mike.
going back here a little bit, but you coached the U.S. at the World Juniors twice, won a gold in 17, bronze the following year. How special was that experience? And can you speak to the importance you and the team felt in following up that gold with another medal, but whatever the color might have been?
All right, Mike, you're bringing us back a few years. I mean, to have the opportunity, to coach USA. It's a bucket list thing, and you've heard me say that in years past. But we had a special group in 17, and we're so fortunate to do it in Canada and win the gold. And then they ask you to do it again, and you don't want to, but you can't say no. And in that group, we were so close. We just had one game that, we're very proud that we medaled, because I don't think it had happened. Am I right on that? That a back-to-back, there was something that we were drawing off back then. But the fact that, we lost the semifinal game, which was heartbreaking, but I really was proud of that team that we didn't get down. We played a great bronze medal game to medal twice, and great players. It's always fun when you coach great players. They sure make you look good. And I'll cherish those memories forever.
Thanks, Mike. It was fun to hear Frank Mazzacco on the call about the excitement of the Big Ten championship game and how packed Mariucci was, and the excitement. We have excitement ahead in Boston coming up with capacity crowds at the Frozen Four. Bob, we look forward to seeing the Gophers there. Congratulations on a great season so far. Safe travels. We wish you the very best, and we'll see you in Boston.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, everybody. That does it for today. We'll hear from the coaches and players again in Boston. If you have anything between now and then, Phil Pierce is your contact. It's going to be just a terrific championship in Boston. As I mentioned, two brand new semifinal matchups in the national championship. ESPN2 will have all the games. John Buccigross, Barry Melrose, Colby Cohen. We'll have Brian Tripp and Dave Starman calling the games for Westwood One, and of course all your local stations. It's going to be terrific. We look forward to it. Have a good day, everyone.